Yo, what is up guys, TheFlawlessWin here today, and today we have another NU match against some guy from the Smogon Battlefinder named Acewiild. He also has a YouTube if you want to go ahead and check that out. But yeah, today I'm using that same team I used in my last battle. The only thing I changed was Haunter. I switched it out from Mischievous because I felt this team needed a little more defensive capability, and because when I had Haunter, my only physical wall was Torkoal, and Torkoal can't take all the physical hits in the world, especially because of its typing, so I needed another one to back it up, and Mischievous does that job well. So yeah, that's the only change I made. And looking at my opponent's team threats, I see the Samurott, and I know it's going to be a sweeper, but between Mischievous and SawSWEEP, I should be able to handle it. I know from prior experience that SawSWEEP's Horn Leech will kill it after a little bit of damage, so I should be able to handle that pretty well. And also that Electabuzz, it's not as much of a threat as it is an annoyance, because I can take hits from it. It's most likely Choice Scarf, judging from his team structure, and it's faster than everything on my team if it is Choice Scarfed, and I don't have a ground type to stop it from Volt Switching, so it can build up some momentum, but I should be able to handle it pretty well. And I figure my best lead here is Skuntank, because he might lead off with his Miltank. Judging from his team structure, it looks like it's defensive with Stealth Rock, and I would be able to taunt it. And if he leads off with his Electabuzz, I can just go for the Pursuit on the Volt Switch, because if you lead off with an Electabuzz, you're most likely going to go straight for the Volt Switch. And he actually does lead off with his Electabuzz, and I know I can take a Volt Switch perfectly fine, because this Skuntank is specially defensive, and he turns out to be Life Orbed, not Choice Scarf, so I know I can outspeed with my Primeape now. And I do predict correctly, he goes for the Volt Switch, and I get a lot of damage off with the Pursuit. That is very nice. Now this thing only has a couple Life Orb hits left in it, and it just became a lot more manageable. So, Skuntank, good job, bro. You weaken that thing a lot. In comes the Samurott, and I know physical hit is coming. I'm not invested in physical defense at all, so I don't want to take one. I can switch out into my Mischievous. I can take any hit, really, and retaliate with the Will-O-Wisp. In comes the Electabuzz, and unfortunately, the burn damage is not going to be enough to kill this thing, so he does have one more hit left in him, so he's just going to be able to get a Thunderbolt off on anything on my team. I just decided to leave in Mischievous. I knew I could take one, and I really should have switched out to Gardevoir there, because Gardevoir probably could have taken it better, and Gardevoir isn't going to be as useful in this match as Mischievous will be, so I don't know. I make mistakes. But in comes the Mightyena. I know I can take pretty much anything from this thing with Torkoal. Mightyena isn't the strongest thing in the world, but I mean, it does have its uses. I mean, lots of people just look at its stats and pretty much just dismiss it as useless, but it does have Moxie, and if it can get a couple Moxie boosts under its belt, it does function as a decent late game cleaner. It has access to that Stab Sucker Punch too, so it is decent. If it had a little more speed, it'd be better, but it can function. It does have a purpose. But anyway, I take these crunches like there's no tomorrow. I can take these all day, and I can set up my Stealth Rocks too. So, Mightyena, not really the best thing to have in against a Torkoal, because Torkoal is just a defensive beast. So right here he realizes that he can't do anything to me, and I'm going to predict the switch out and just go for the Yawn. And basically what I'd like to do with this Torkoal is set up my Stealth Rocks and just keep going for Yawns and keep forcing the switches until they finally decide to let something go to sleep. And yeah, just rack up Entry Hazard's damage. It's kind of like the Entry Hazard's Dragon Tail combination. I know lots of Pokemon like to use that combo, but he actually stays in and goes for the Swords Dance, and I'm like, aw shit, this guy is Swords Dance with Lumberry. So now he pretty much gets a free SD up, and something on my team has to die. Nothing on my SawSWEEP can't switch into a +2 hit, because it just can't. Because he probably has the Aqua Jet too, so I'm just going to decide to let my Torkoal die. Once again, I should have gone into Gardevoir to take that hit, because Gardevoir isn't going to be as useful as my Torkoal in this battle, but it happens. And now I get a free switch into my SawSWEEP, and basically I'm praying that this Horn Leech will kill. But he just decides to switch out into his Miltank straight away, and I was kind of worried this thing might be Sap Sipper. I knew it'd most likely be defensive with Thick Fat, and it is, but I was kind of worried because Sapsicker Miltank with a double edge can do damage to my team, considering my Misdreavus is so low on health, but it's not, and I do get the lucky crit on the switch, and I just decide might as well try to knock it out with a return, since I did get the lucky crit. But no, it doesn't knock it out, and he gets to Milk Drink his health all the way back up, so I'm going to switch out here. I figure since this thing is defensive, he probably has Thick Fat and doesn't have Scrappy, and I can really take anything with this, and hopefully get off some much-needed recovery with my Misdreavus by going for the Pain Split, as he just goes for the Thunder Wave as a switch in, which is fine. I do have Heal Bell on my Gardevoir if I want to switch that in and cure this paralysis, but honestly I don't think it'll be that much of a problem. And I do successfully get off the Pain Split and get some health back. I really would have liked to get it off on that Miltank, because Miltank has lots of HP, and I probably would have been able to get a little more health back, but I do weaken this Mightyena and get myself back into green, so that's nice. And since Torkoal is dead, I figure I can switch into Primeape, take anything. If he wants to go for the sub, I can just U-turn out on it. But I don't really take anything because he gets a crit, so I guess that kind of makes up for the crit I got on his Miltank, so that the Hacks does bounce out in this battle. So I figure here he'll most likely want to try to knock me out with a Sucker Punch, since he did get the critical hit, and I knew I could most likely take a Crunch, and a Sucker Punch, and I do, and I get to completely annihilate this Mightyena with the close combat. Primeape's close combat, wow, it's really powerful, and Mightyena doesn't have the best defense, so yeah, that was kind of overkill there, but in comes the Samurott, and I don't want to take an Aqua Jet. It's extremely obvious. I know I can take an Aqua Jet followed up by a Waterfall with my Misdreavus, so I'm just going to go ahead and switch that in. And I guess right here I could either go for the Pain Split or the Will-O-Wisp, but I opt to go for the Will-O-Wisp just to cripple this thing right away, so it's not as much of a pain. But I miss the Will-O-Wisp, and he gets to knock me out with the Waterfall, which is kind of annoying, but it happens. Will-O-Wisp isn't the most accurate move. But now I get a free switch into my Sawsbuck again, and I know now that after 2 Stealth Rock entries that a Horn Leech will kill, and I'm pretty sure he'll switch out, so I'm going to go ahead and set up the Swords Dance on the switch. And I'm thinking I can OHKO everything on his team now. The only thing I think can live, that can live a +2 hit is Meganium, and I know it can live it, but what is a Meganium gonna do to a Sawsbuck in return, really? Like, give me a Sap Sipper boost, or, the worst it can do is Toxic me, really. So, he goes into his Miltank, I guess thinking that he could live that, but there's no way you're gonna live that, bro. +2 return from a Sawsbuck is so much power. So, in comes the said Meganium, and I just go for the return. I'm still, really, the only thing I have to fear is the Toxic. But return actually knocks it out in 1 hit, so all that worrying was for nothing, really. He didn't do anything to me. I knocked it out in 1 hit. And his last Pokemon is this Samurott, and I can easily knock it out with a +2 Horn Leech. There's no way this thing's living that, and that will be the game. Thank you guys for watching. You guys got a little Sawsbuck sweep at the end, so hope you guys enjoyed. Definitely go check out this guy's channel. He doesn't have that many subs like me. He's kind of low on subs, but yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. You should check him out. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.